Guys, let's talk about Bitcoin or crypto in general, right? And how people lost money, or rather, how we're wrong about losing money about crypto, especially as a business. So I want to focus again. There are different parts here, right? I'm going to focus on businesses and how you guys are maybe reading it wrong. We've read it wrong for all these years, okay? And I'm ready to have that debate, ready to have the argument, okay? Because I'm doing this right now. So I'm not an influencer. It has an idea, clearly, in case you can't tell the background. I'm not famous, but I'm doing this right now. So I'm the CEO of Aruka, and I've been in banking for the last 20 years. So I've seen it. I've seen the journey. I've seen crypto walk into banking. I've seen crypto walk out. I've seen people go into crypto, and I've seen people get scared of crypto real time. Okay. So who am I? Obviously, I'm the CEO of Aruka. Aruka has a smart payment ring. Okay. We allow users tap to pay. So this, what you're seeing here is actually my bank. So this is a bank that you can tap to pay effectively, so you don't need your wallet. It has no battery. I think a lot of people ask me this as well. Again, these videos I do regularly for my customers, for people who want to find out about payment rings. I'm a ring nerd. I always loved wearing rings as a kid. So imagine when I found out that I could make payments with rings. That was the first thing that came to mind. So everything around us. So again, some people start businesses because they like the idea, they want to make money. Some people start businesses because they want to eat, right? They need the money to, fund their lifestyle. And some people do it because they really, really love it. So this to me was two things that came together. I love rings, and I work in banking. So I just came out and I was like, listen, I'm going to do this properly. Again, we're not, running after money. We haven't, you don't see a lot of ads from us because we focus on customers and banks. So banks are our customers as well. So you might see, a ring. Okay, if you see a payment ring from a bank that you've never heard of, it's most likely from us. So we work with banks there that come to us. We don't go to banks. Banks come to us. Same thing as well with customers. If you're watching this, that's most likely because the algorithm gods have pushed you to me, or you've just searched before, and it looks like this is what you might like. So again, these things have no batteries at all. Again, this is a cool one. So this is for me. It's a custom one. But we have the ceramic ones, which is simple, and it has no battery in it, so you can just tap to pay. We also have a fitness one, which I'm not wearing right now. The fitness rings also allows you to run, track your fitness, track your health, track your sleep, and tap to pay. So those ones have batteries. These ones don't. And this is a business ring. So a business ring basically means that if you're a business owner, you can tap this ring on a customer's phone and you get paid. So imagine if you're let's call it a hairdresser. A hairdresser, you don't have to walk around with a POS terminal anymore. You don't have to look for, network, or you don't have to make sure it's charged, especially countries like, actually, all countries. So we have customers in Europe, we have customers in the US, and we have customers in South America and Africa. Africa is rather expensive to get our rings out to, so we're working with a few distributors there. Literally, you just go in and just tap to pay. That's it. So you suddenly don't need a battery, don't need POS terminals anymore, and these things are selling off fast. Okay, so we're small. Yeah, I think that's it. And we haven't raised money, we haven't gone crazy. But the purpose of this video, I suppose, was just a question that came to me, which, the person asked me. Again, I'm not putting the person on blast or anything. It was an honest question. It says, hey, I don't like crypto. Okay, and that's true. That makes sense. Okay, so I want to address that in this question. Why? You as a business owner have been told wrong about crypto. You've just, crypto has started very well, but has failed. Banks are not any better. Let's talk about that. Again, so if you look at the start of crypto, right? Crypto started very well. It came out of the blocks. So everyone was like, what the heck are these things? People tried to find out who founded it. You could hardly find anything. In fact, when crypto came out in 2019, the founder, whoever started this thing, Satoshi, or people, okay, it could be anyone. There's been a few fraudulent people that have come out to claim to be him. I don't know why you'd want to claim to be anybody. Okay, if you are, then you are. If you're not, you're not. Right? So it's like me going out to claim to be Patrick. Okay, I don't have to claim to be Patrick. If I have to tell you, oh, listen, I'm Patrick, then there's something wrong. Okay, then be careful, because it could be a Nigerian prince. Yeah, so I'm a Nigerian prince, but I'm Patrick and I do rings. But the point I was trying to make there is the fact that people, didn't know who this guy was. Okay, but he came up and it was a good idea. And the idea was, hey, you can tap to make payments, alternatively P2P. Okay, so the idea was you go P2P and you can make payments. But it turned out then that you can't find out who the payment is made to, who's made from. And because of that, it became a target, and it basically was used for fraudulent and criminal activity. So if you're a criminal or a thief or whatever, drug dealers, and you don't want the bank to question you on how you're getting money or how you're transferring money across, then you can use crypto. So the use case for crypto just blew up. okay, especially for criminals. There could be an argument that you can also use it for Secret Service, which is true. And there's an argument that the CIA came up with this because now they can send messages to each other and no one knows who's sending it. That's true. So there's a good use case and bad use case. But the bad use case has just gone up so high for obvious reasons, right? And that's because we in the banking world, we push these guys away. Okay, you don't want to deal with the terrorists. And there's a ban on terrorism. So what do? Then they go to crypto. So and that was the point, right? So and to make things worse, right? Again, I'm just talking about what's good, and I'm going to where people are getting this wrong. Okay, so to make things worse, then you go in and then you have a lot of scam things out there. Okay, so if you look at it, I think the first one I ever remember was, I think it was called OneCoin. Check it out, OneCoin. And then people lost, I think, about 4.4 billion on those things, like with a B, dollars on those things. There was a lady, I think she was called Crypto Queen then, and then she was claiming that she had a PhD as well, which you need to be careful. People that claim to have same thing as someone claiming to be Patrick. If someone goes out and says, hey, I'm Patrick, be careful, because most likely you don't go out shouting your name. So people go out and say, oh, I've got a PhD. Be careful. Look at what they got the PhD on. And most likely it's not what they're talking about. So this lady at OneCoin had a PhD in, I think it was metaphysics or something funny. But the way she was shouting the PhD and going on stage to talk about finance topics on OneCoin, it made it look like she had a PhD in finance or maths, which wasn't the case. And then they had like some sort of ML, multi-level marketing style approach to it, until it disappeared, until people just disappeared and the money was gone. 4 billion was gone. And that was the start of many, because then what happened then? People realized, wait, you can just do anything on the crypto world. So not just, drug dealers, not just criminals that were using it down underworld and terrorists, but it turns out that scammers could just do it. So she was the first. She started that. And then others started doing it as well. So now you have everybody going out there. Remember, to a girl or something, every celebrity came up and had a coin as well, and they just scammed people, and then they blamed some developer, the rug pool. The idea of rug pool came out, which again is a mess. So you can look at that and just, again, this history, just search online, and it's like a different world out there. Even the fonts and everything is just funny. Okay. And then you would think that's where it stops until exchanges joined in. So FTX, I think, was a big one, right? And people still haven't forgotten that. I think there were a few, algorithmic coins and things like that. But FTX, I think, was a big one because people lost a lot of money. A lot of people were dragged down there, right? And then the idea was, I think there was one as well where they said, hey, there's guaranteed return. So people like that started challenging the banks to say, hey, please come to us. We can give you guaranteed returns, or we can hack the market so that you can get a better price on Bitcoin, things like that. They went ahead and again, they caused a lot of this hack there, up to the billions of losses with a B, dollars. I say all that to mention that, listen, Bitcoin has a problem, and you're justified to be worried about Bitcoin. You're justified to run away from Bitcoin. Okay. But here's what people are missing with that. Okay. Should run away from Bitcoin. Because again, mind you, this video, okay, is for entrepreneurs, not for consumers. Okay. And that's where we're getting things wrong. Love this code, by the way. So if you look at it, there are two sides to an equation, right? So you can either be a consumer or it could be a business. So if you're a business owner, okay, if you run a business, you're thinking your offering is different from someone who's a customer. Because a customer or an investor wants a product, they want a return, they want a service. Okay. So what happens then is the entire Bitcoin so far has been focused on consumers. What does that mean? That means if you have 1,000 to invest, okay, there are two ways. You can go to a bank and invest your 1,000, or stock market, what we call TradFi. So traditional finance is just traditional finance, which is the bank, stock markets, savings account, checking account, things like that. So you can leave your money there, okay, and you get a little return, okay? Or you can go to Bitcoin and get more returns, but it's very risky. So you can see people claiming to get, 100x, 2000x, and that's why they run into this Bitcoin, so that you have two worlds. If you're a consumer, you have two worlds. You can go to TradFi, traditional finance, or you can go to Bitcoin where you get more money, but it's very, very risky. Regulators, central banks will tell you, please, as a consumer, don't go here. Don't go to Bitcoin, because you get a lot of returns, but you lose your money. We can't protect you, but we can protect you here with the bank. So if a bank loses your money, you can go in and say, hey, I want my money back. If you put your money in the bank, you're guaranteed for at least 100K, 200K, depending on what country you're at, and you get your money back. Okay, you have insurance. All the banks have to be regulated. They have to check. These guys, not so. Okay, so there are two worlds there. So as a customer, you have to be careful. And that's where people miss the entire point of the Bitcoin and crypto. Because you as a customer, you're not the same as a business. Does that make sense? As a business person, you're completely different. As a business person, you don't need to compare both. Think about it for a minute. As a business person, If you need $1,000, who do you go? You go to your bank. Your bank tells you, hey, which to me, I think that's the problem. If you're a business customer, you go and you want to borrow 1,000 from the bank, good luck. Because the bank will look at you and go, okay, listen, how much do you have? Okay, how long have you been in business? Okay, and maybe in 2 to 3 months, you might get a loan. Oh, wait, they can ask you for a secured loan and you get it quicker. A secured loan means they take your house. Okay, so if the money fails, you have your house and you lose your house. And a lot of businesses are, that's why business owners are dying right now, because they have some sort of security against their house, against their home sometimes, which to me is very, very risky. Yeah. And again, I'm putting both together so we know that as a consumer, you're thinking about both. But as a business owner, if you want to borrow 1,000, where do you go? It doesn't matter. You need to think about it then, because you've got two ways. You can go here, okay, and borrow from the bank, and the banks would put a lot. They should do better. Okay, we should do better. But my point is, banks are putting so much pressure and are almost predatory with their borrowings to businesses. I have to say it, because banks are saying, hey, at 1,000, they'll say to you, okay, listen, we can only give you a 10% loan. 10% loan, of which, again, you have to think about it. How much are you making in the business? You better make over 50%, because you need to make money, you need to pay your staff, and you need to pay back the bank loan. It gets better. They can turn around and say to you, let's get a secured loan. Secured loan is worse, because you could lose the property when the business goes down. Oh, wait, they can turn around and say, listen, and they have a lot of people called, I think these things are called trade finance, invoice finance. That means they look at your future earnings and they take it from here. So there's a lot of ways to make money, or the government can support you. But for a government to support you on an idea, it's almost like a competition. You might as well just win the lottery, because it takes about 6 months. It takes God knows how long to get grants. Okay, and you get a grant eventually, trust me, but it just takes forever. And then you, as a business owner, you either do that or you pay someone to do it. When you pay someone to do it, there's no guarantee that they'll do it, so you're losing even more money there. So it's a crazy world out there. Or you can go to crypto, and crypto, who are you up against? You have a product, so you're up against Donald Trump and his coins. You're up against, against crypto guys that have not produced anything, but you've produced something. If you are think about it for me. If you've got a pizza store and you want to raise money, okay, if you want to raise money, what do? You go to where you most likely get the money, and you shouldn't run to a bank. That's my point. You should diversify. You should go to both places, and you have a product. You have a pizza store that you want to sell to people. So what do? You go to where you can get 1,000 from, which in this case, crypto might be better for you. But banks don't want you to think like that. Central banks are not thinking about that, right? So most people are not thinking about that. What they do is they hear crypto and they freak out. What you should do is not to worry about crypto. What you should think of, where do I get finance? Do I go to traditional finance, or should I go to crypto companies? And there are a lot of crypto companies out there, regulated sometimes, okay? Some will tell you, hey, we're going to borrow you against the crypto you have. So that means you need to go buy crypto. When you buy crypto, then they borrow against your crypto, because they're sure that they've got that crypto and they know the value is going to go up, right? So my point is, which as a business person, we need to start thinking about. If you have a business user, you're a business owner, my suggestion would be to look at all avenues of finance, and not just think the finance is going to come from the bank, because banks generally are hard to get money from. Investors, same thing. Investors are worse than banks. Okay, that's the truth. Because investors, they take more risk, but in that case, they expect to make so much money. Like a typical investor wants to make over 10 times of their money. So what that means is you better make at least 50 times of the money they borrowed you. Yeah, because that means you need to pay them back, you need to pay your staff, and you need to get some profit back as well, which they want to get at least 5 times. If they borrow 1 million, they want to get 5 million. So you better be making 50 million, which is crazy to think about, but that's actually the numbers business owners work with. But they run to that instead of looking at all avenues, okay? So if you've learned nothing from this video, just pick it that, one, be objective in your review. As a customer, be careful about crypto. But as a business owner, you don't have to worry about crypto. You have to worry about where you get money from. And sometimes crypto might be better for you. Be careful out there, guys. And take care. All the best. Catch you in the next one. Oh, and don't forget, order Orukka. Tap to pay with your ring, tap to receive. Orukka.com, ORUKKA. Again, guys, if you have any questions on the ring, how it works, how to configure the devices, where we can ship to, which is a lot of countries where we can ship to, let me know. Reach out to my team or reach out to me. I'm always talking. Take care.